look at the efficiency and at the economic viability of different car types. So we have a gasoline fueled car here, we have an electrically powered car here, and we have a car which is basically electrically powered via hydrogen, so using a hydrogen fuel cell. In principle, I want to have a look now at the whole process here. I don't want to look at emissions. I don't just want to look at the emissions from cars when they already received their fuel. No, I want to have a look how this fuel can be produced and then how well the car can utilize it. And the first step of producing the fuel and putting it into the car is called well to tank. And the second part of how well the car can utilize this fuel or this chemical energy in a way, at this intermediary step at least, is called tank to wheel. So let's first of all have a look at this gasoline fueled car. We're starting off by saying we do have 100% of renewable energy. Now we can use different chemical processes to produce actual fuel and to produce gasoline artificially. And this is of course subject to certain losses, as you can see in this yellow part here. Then we have to transport and store it. Well, for this point, it is important to notice that although you might lose quite a lot of energy here from this initial energy we went into, most of that is not due to simply a loss of fuel, but rather to transport the fuel, you also will have to use energy. So you can have a gasoline transporter, for example, but your gasoline transporter also has to be powered with gasoline. So you have to invest energy in order to transport it properly. So this giving you a well-to-tank efficiency of 44%. So basically half of your energy is already lost until you have generated your gasoline and until you have put it into your car. Now we only have one more step, and this is basically our engine efficiency. And for our engine efficiency, we will lose a big portion of this remaining energy which we have from this initial 100%, and we will end up with a staggering 13% efficiency only from basically well to wheel. And this number simply means if we had 100% of electrical energy being generated from renewable resources, then in the end, we can use this energy to produce 13% of kinetic energy, which the car can effectively utilize. Now, let's look at this battery-powered car. So for this battery-powered car, we again go in with renewable energies and go in with 100%. We do not have to produce fuel in this case, but we only have to transport and store it, which will be the reason for a minimum loss of 5% here. This 5% here is due to charge inefficiencies of your battery, for example, but we would still be left with a very high number of this 95%. So then in the next step, in the tank to wheel part, we do have to do electrical conversions between AC and DC, for example, and we have to power our electromotor. And this is the reason why in these two steps we will lose some of this energy on our efficiency scale here, but we end up with a very high 73% efficiency. So this again meaning from this 100% of renewable energy, which we had in the first place as electric energy, we are able to use 73% of this to be transferred in kinetic energy using this electromotor. Now, looking at the last car type, this electric car, but being powered by a hydrogen fuel cell, we do see that we are kind of in between the previous two, but much more on the side of the gasoline car. So we again do have to produce fuel because we have to transfer our electrical energy in an electrolyzer, thereby producing oxygen and hydrogen gas. This is subject to losses as explained by this portion here. Also, we have to store our hydrogen, which is a science for itself because it's not very efficient and subject to various losses. So after our well to tank part, we actually left with only 52% of efficiency. Now, again, we have to do some fuel electricity conversion. So this is our actual hydrogen fuel cell process. And also our energy does not have to, cannot be used by our electromotor in 100%. So we again have a little bit of losses for the engine efficiency as well. So we pretty much end up with only 22% of efficiency as well. Keeping in mind that for this kind of system, we do not have any infrastructure installed and it needs significant investments. So here you can see why for consumer car vehicles and also for buses, for example, the system of having hydrogen fuel cells was limited to a very low amount and why the carriers of such buses were complaining about horrendous costs, simply because you're losing most of your energy in here. As you can see in this hydrogen part process, the two conversion processes of fuel production, so the electrolyzer at which we looked in our first chapter here, and also the back conversion in the fuel cell at which we've also looked at, these are actually the two biggest loss factors, both with a big portion here and a big portion here. So as long as these two processes cannot be significantly optimized in their efficiency, the hydrogen fuel cell will not really be a competitor for the battery-powered car.